what the certificate authority has come with is, once the attacker will create its own website that's look like or the same as your bank, as your bank website, call it mybank.com. This domain or this public key that will going to generate this public key that's going to be generated, and that it will be sent to the client to 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 put its credential within it. Is the client. Here, this public key must be signed by a well-known certificate authority. So what this attacker going to do is going to sign this public key by himself. So once this public key will reach to or arrive to the client browser, then the client browser already have the key, the private key and the public key of the certificate authority. Then it will check if this public key is assigned by one of the certificate authority that listed on that browser. If it does not find that this certificate or that public key signed by no one of that certificate authority that is listed inside it, then it will warn the user that this website is not secure, as the same here. But if we go to AWS and click on this lock and go to connection secure and certificate is valid, and then it told me that the certification is valid. So now when the client will see that the browser warned him that this is not a secure website, then the attacker will be not able to retrieve the credential of client, as long as the client are aware that an attacker try to fake him and steal his credentials. So this is what is the certificate authority. So in Kubernetes cluster, once you set your Kubernetes cluster, then Kubernetes will provide you with the certificate authority, because certificate authority is not free. There are few companies that provide a free one, but almost of them provide you with the paid certificate. And this certificate contains two files, is the private key and the public key. And you use these two files to sign your public key. I will show you how we can do that. So in the cluster, there is a certificate authority that you can go to your master node under etc Kubernetes, under PKE, and then you list that, and here you can see this CE means certificate authority, certificate and key. So we will use these two to sign the certificate for our new user. This is what we are going to achieve. So this is our cluster, Kubernetes cluster. This is our Kubernetes, or yes, our API server. So the cluster here, there is a certificate authority in our that Kubernetes provide us with. So the administrator going to create and sign the certificate for that client. So the new client that I call him Abdul Ali. Once it will send the request to the IP server, the IP server will look to its certificate. And what is the certificate authority that have signed him that certificate? So once the IP server will see that this Abdulali's certificate is signed by Kubernetes itself, then IP server will say this user must be I must let him to authenticate, as long as this certificate cannot anyone have it until if the administrator of the cluster can provide him with that, or only the administrator of the cluster can sign that certificate for them. So what we are going to do now is come back here to the steps and going back to our Ubuntu server, because this is us, so our super user, and then create folder, call it certs. I will get in that folder, and then I have first thing, generate a private key. We'll copy it and paste it here, and if I list now, I have private key, and then I will command this line in etc ssl. So let me get in etc ssl and then sudo nano open, and scroll down here and try command this line, and then I will request for a certificate. We'll copy that and cd enter cert ls clear and paste that command here, and then a certificate signed request is created. And now what I'm going to do is use the Kubernetes and the certificate of Kubernetes to sign that request. So for that I have type sudo copy etc Kubernetes pke and then ta.cert, and they will in Kubernetes.cert, and the same thing for the key. So now I have the key and the certificate of Kubernetes of the certificate authority. All what I have to do now is sign that certificate. I will copy and paste that here. So now I have the private key and then this Abdali certs, and all what we will need is this one, the certificate, Kubernetes certificate, and the private key. I will scroll down here now, right? And what I'm going to do is try to remove Kubernetes.key request and then Kubernetes